Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Tony, and yes, I'm not at my desk. I'm not inside, I'm outside. Outside in our backyard, I've got a nice, it's our, sorry, our lemon slash lime tree behind me. And you may be thinking, what does that have to do with sports cards? Well, what grows on a tree besides leaves? Now, I'm not going to talk about leaves as in Leaves, but Leaf as a card manufacturer in the 1940s. Specifically, one football Leaf card from 1948, and how this card and the player on the card relates to the modern day pro football game and the first black player to integrate the league really post World War II. I want to talk about a book that I found really interesting that a lot of you have talked about as well and shown, called Relief, and also connect this player to another famous baseball player who has a very expensive Leaf card that I do not have, but I have one of his Topps cards, and how they connect to each other pre-baseball and pre-pro football days. So stick with me, enjoy the leaves in the background here. I'll turn the camera around and we'll talk about Leaf baseball cards. See you soon. Bye.
All right, welcome back. Let's see who we're talking about today. We are talking about Mr. Kenny Washington. This is his 1948 Leaf rookie card. You'll notice that the Leaf football cards represent and look a lot like the Leaf baseball cards. The bright backgrounds, the multiple colors used in the printing, and have some of the same size as well too. So what about Kenny Washington? He was the first African-American to sign a contract with the modern post-war NFL in 1946. There had been a few black players as recently as the 1930s, though, and some earlier, but the 13 years leading up to 1946, no black players had been signed. Kenny Washington was born in California and attended UCLA from 1937 to 1940. He was the son of one Edgar Blue Washington, a former Negro League baseball player who played with Rube Foster's Chicago American Giants, and later briefly with the Kansas City Monarchs. I'll put Kenny's picture there for right now. He played both baseball and football at UCLA. Jackie Robinson played with Washington on both the football and baseball teams. Kenny held many records for many years at UCLA, and in 1939 he was one of 5 black players on the UCLA football team, including Mr. Jackie Robinson. There are stories and anecdotes I found from the time where several reporters and scouts thought he could be a better potential baseball prospect than Jackie at the time. In 1940, he played in the college football all-star game, coached by the one George Halas, the Chicago Bears coach. And Halas wanted to sign Kenny, but was unable to convince other owners in the league to allow him to sign a black player. After college, he played in a regional football league for several years and unfortunately sustained some injuries and wear that would later hamper any long-term NFL playing prospects. He also began working with the LAPD at this time. His uncle had been a very high-ranking official in the Los Angeles Police Department. So let's talk about more how he and Jackie intertwined with each other in baseball and how he made it to the NFL. So on October 23rd, 1945, Jackie Robinson signed a groundbreaking contract with the Montreal Royals. And of course, Robinson would integrate Major League Baseball a few years later. Branch Rickey at the time, his plan called for not just Robinson, but for 2 black players to play for the Dodgers. And Robinson lobbied for his friend and former UCLA teammate, Kenny Washington. Robinson told the New York Daily News that Washington would make his first serious crack at baseball next year. A local sports editor for the Pittsburgh Courier added this endorsement. In a letter to Rickey, the writer wrote, "I am suggesting that you consider very seriously the possibility that Kenny Washington, who is Jackie's teammate at UCLA, I understand that he's a much better ball player than Robinson." As we all know, though, Washington did not make it with Jackie to be part of the Brooklyn Dodgers. So at the same time, and I'll show the back of the card just for the time being, at the same time, the Cleveland Rams had moved to Los Angeles to become the Los Angeles Rams. And the team sought to play in a publicly owned Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum, a decision which created immediate pressure that the team be racially integrated, given Los Angeles's culture and population at the time. And also since black taxpayers, as well as white, had paid for construction of that Coliseum. The terms of the Coliseum's lease would end up being a determining factor in signing Washington and the reintegration of the NFL. So Kenny signed with the Rams on March 21st, 1946, and played his first NFL game on September 29th, 1946 against the Philadelphia Eagles. This was the year prior to Jackie Robinson appearing for the Dodgers in the majors in 1947. Kenny was 27 at the time, and like mentioned above, had already played some semi-pro football and had sustained and recovered from several injuries at the time. He played from 1946 to 1948, and in 27 games over that time. He played offense and defense. He had 2 interceptions. He passed the ball, caught the ball, and ran the ball as many players did during that early NFL time. He had 8 touchdowns over 3 years and amassed almost 1,100 yards, all-purpose yards from scrimmage. After retiring from football, Washington worked again for the LAPD and also worked part-time as a scout for the Los Angeles Dodgers, where his son, Kenny Washington Jr., played. He also had several movie roles, including the Jackie Robinson story in 1950. His father also had several acting roles too throughout his life. Now, Jackie did attempt to make the New York Giants baseball team in 1950 and was offered that chance by new New York Giants manager Leo DeRocher. He competed for a spot against several others, including Monty Irvin. He didn't make the team, but did later play a bit more baseball in the Pacific Coast League. 4 generations of Washingtons played baseball, I found out. Edgar Blue Washington, his father, Kenny, the subject of this video. Kenny Jr. played at USC in the early 60s and had 6 seasons in the Dodgers farm system. And then 2 of Kenny Sr.'s, this Kenny, his grandsons played in the Chicago Cubs organization in the late 80s. Very interesting and cool. He is a member of the College Football Hall of Fame, and his number 13 was the first to be retired by UCLA. He, however, is not in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. He died in 1971 in his early 50s. Jackie Robinson, his UCLA teammate, died the following year in 1972. I'll be doing more research and videos on early black players in the major leagues, but wanted to shout out Kenny from the NFL first. This has inspired me to do a lot more research in terms of guys like Jackie Robinson and others who were first to integrate their teams too. So more videos coming out on that. Stay tuned for that. And I learned a lot about not knowing other black players really had played in the NFL before Washington did. There were not a lot of cards back in the 30s and 20s, so you didn't see a lot of them in cardboard, but very cool research about Mr. Kenny Washington and his impact on the NFL, and frankly how his life and his career intersected over several years in several sports with Mr. Jackie Robinson. So I'm going to put Kenny's card right here. And of course, I can't talk about Jackie without showing my only and my favorite to this point, Jackie Robinson baseball card. So this is his 1956 Topps, his last playing days card. Got this at the National in Chicago a few months ago. Any Jackie card from his playing days, Topps or Bowman is going to be expensive, or Leaf obviously too. So having his last card was going to be the way into his collection for me, at least at this point. And really cool to find out how his career at UCLA and in baseball really intersected with another integrator, Mr. Kenny Washington of the more modern NFL, playing with the Cleveland, but then moved to Los Angeles Rams. So I want to show Jackie off as well here too. I'll put his card right here. But let's look, as always, at the back of the card. I briefly showed it during my discussion, but let's see what it says. Card number 17, Kenny Washington, halfback, Los Angeles Rams. 3rd year with the Rams. Again, he played in 46. This is his 48 card. Great broken field runner and equally adept at passing and kicking. 4th in rushing in the National League in 1947 with 444 yards gained for a 7.4 average. All-around athlete. Starred in baseball, basketball, and track, as well as football, 4-sport athlete at UCLA. You can see at the bottom, copyright 1948, Leaf Gum, Chicago, Illinois. So that would ordinarily be the end of the story on Mr. Kenny Washington. And there's a lot there. That is the end of his personal story, I suppose. But let me move Jackie out of the way for a second. So a lot of you, I think, have seen and read this book, or seen the book, Relief by Brian Kappel. If you haven't read this book or seen it, check it out. It's great on the history of Leaf baseball, football, non-sport cards, how they were made, manufactured, and the search to figure out really when did they first push out their baseball set? So good read here. I love the colors in the set. You can see here some of the cards from the 48, 49 Leaf series there at the bottom. But one page stuck out for me in this book that ties to Mr. Kenny Washington. So I want to read the page just real quick for you. And again, shout out to Brian Kappel. Thank you for the book, great read. I want to read briefly from one of the pages here. So let me find this real quick. I'll read the book off camera so you're not looking at the book at the same time. So as the book lays out, there was lots of printing issues, oversights, maybe defects, ways the cards just weren't made as consistently as they are right now. And what this one paragraph says is that the process of printing the card was either done wet or with the application of a drying agent between the application of colors. Wet press runs could cause issues. If the ink hadn't fully dried, the ink would produce a wet transfer, which was not bleed through, but a transfer of the ink from sheet to sheet if the cards and sheets were stacked while one was not 100% dry as they were stacked, a common defect on Leaf cards. So what does that mean? It means that if cards were still wet, the ink hadn't dried yet, you stack sheets or cards on top of each other, you may have a transfer or almost an image, a mirror image or a reverse mirror image of another card, the ink from that card on top of an unintended card, right? So what this card caught my eye on, of course, was for Mr. Kenny Washington, his rookie card, first black man to really integrate the modern NFL. This was on my collection want list for a while. But when I saw the card, I noticed something else. And maybe you can see it too. Can you see it? Maybe not yet. Let me take it out of the plastic. So here's a better view of the card. What do you see? Anything stick out to you in terms of ink transfer? Well, it looks pretty clean. I mean, there's white on all the edges, a little bit of scuff, kind of dirt right here. The back, I don't see any ink back here. It looks like it's pretty clean, clear, no wet ink transfer here. But what I noticed is this dirt right here. Although it's not dirt, if you look at this card, it's writing. It's actual writing, it's ink. And I'm pretty good at reading patterns and figuring out patterns of things, numbers, letters, things like that. If you look at this closely and you put it up to a mirror, because the mirror reverses the image, right? What it is that says Kenny Washington, but backwards. So it looks like dirt, kind of a scuff mark to the kind of common eye without thinking about it too much. But this card has a Kenny Washington ink mark in reverse on the top, on a Kenny Washington card. And you look at that and you think, huh. You see the Kenny Washington at the top here, all in capital letters, all in black ink, number 17. What do you see here? I think that's the number 17 right there, 1 and then 7, or 7-1, reading left to right. And then Kenny Washington at the very top. Now this wasn't noted on the card, and some may think that's kind of a defect or a reason not to buy the card. That was actually a reason for me to buy this card. One, I wanted this card for a long time, given it means a lot in terms of integrating the pro NFL game we know about today. But after reading Brian Kappel's Relief book and knowing that's a thing, and having a wet transfer of Kenny Washington on a Kenny Washington card, which isn't uncommon to have a transfer of the same player on the same card, but it's up top here, it's up top on the back. It just made this card a lot more special. It's something I'll keep raw, not gonna grade it, not gonna try to resell it, but it kind of ties this card again to the book I read over here. And so that was really, really cool. That was like worth its weight in gold to have this card, the wet transfer, read the book, and a player like Mr. Kenny Washington, I can tie this history to what I'm learning about. It was everything to me when I saw that. I had to buy the card. I put a bid on it, put a pretty high bid. And luckily, I won the auction about a month and a half ago, and wanted to share this with you all. So if you didn't know about who Kenny Washington was, hopefully you know a little bit more about him right now. He does have a 1949 Leaf card, which looks a lot the same. There's some characteristics in terms of the color of his name that are variations, but again, 3 years in the NFL, one card, a really cool intertwining history with, of course, his teammate, Mr. Jackie Robinson. So hope you enjoyed that video. Thank you a lot for watching. Love to hear your comments or thoughts or questions, or maybe or things you know about Kenny I didn't know about, or things you can add to the story. Love to hear that in the comments too. And hope you like it. Hope you give it a view. And I'll talk to you soon with more videos documenting my journey down the path of early baseball integrators and those first black and non-white players on each of those early major league teams. I'm looking forward to doing that video as well and show you some cards I picked up in the meantime. So with that, I'll let you go. Have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.